Well, welcome. Thank you for coming. Air pollution, as I'm sure you all know, is a really serious health concern. It's a serious public health concern. All of us are affected by poor air quality. The main problems with air quality is that you can't see it, you can't smell it. It's not like it was back in the 50s. So we're trying to make the invisible visible, and we're trying to reduce levels. Levels have come down really significantly in the time I've been looking at air quality in this borough, but we still need to go further, and we can't do it on our own. The local authority can't do everything on its own. It needs your help. So we're going to cover what are the pollutants of concern, the sources and locations, the actual data, what are we doing and what you can do. So the pollutants of concern are NO2 and PM, nitrogen dioxide and particulate matter. I'm sure you've all heard of those. Particles, particulate matter, are measured on size. So you might hear PM10, PM2.5, you might hear them called ultrafines. The legal levels, the levels the government is duty bound to achieve, is about 40 micrograms a cubic metre for NO2 and for PM10. We were supposed to achieve that in 2005. We're still working on getting there. We're nearly there. But in September 21, the WHO, said that they had 40 as their target level too. They said we shouldn't be working to 40, we should be trying to aim at 10 micrograms, which is a huge reduction. And to achieve that, we need to really do a lot of work, because even in the centre of Richmond Park, far from any boiler or road, it's only 11 last year. So the other levels are all down there. We'll go through them. This is just to give you an idea of the size of a PM10. This is a hair. That stick going through is a human hair, and that is a grain of sand on the side. I don't know whether this clicker is very visible. So PM10 is a sixth of a human hair. It's about 10 micrograms, and PM2.5 is a quarter of a PM10. So we are talking very tiny. 2.5s you won't be able to see with the human eye, and 10s you can just about see, so very, very tiny. NO2 is a gas mainly, and it irritates and inflames the airways and the lungs, and PMs can be any size. As I say, they're graded by size. They can be particles, they can be gases, liquids, solids, organic, carcinogenic, and we know that they are now leading to certain cancers and dementia, and there is no known low threshold which is safe. So we need to reduce them as much as we possibly can, and this goes more about health effects. So all of us are affected. Certainly if you've got heart conditions and COPD and asthma, it will exacerbate it. For children, it actually stunts lung growth at high levels, so we're really working with schools to try and reduce it. Main locations are where you've got any form of combustion, so anywhere where you're burning fuel, like a car engine, gas boilers, wood burners, open fires, brake and tyre wear. Now, as we're switching to electric brake and tyre wear, the tailpipe is being reduced to zero on an electric vehicle, but brake and tyre wear may be increasing because they are heavier. The batteries, especially large electric vehicles, batteries are quite heavy, so the brake and tyre wear is becoming quite a problem, and we need help from the motor manufacturers, the road manufacturers. We need to get different materials so they shed less. And PMs blown in from outside is a very important one. ULEZ, everybody asks me about the ULEZ. It's actually too early really to give you proper data for the ULEZ. October 21, it came in for Mortlake Road round here, so the South Circular. But the South Circular itself was excluded, as you probably all know. GLA talks about how many vehicles have been cleaned up. So since August this year, the 29th of August, when the whole borough, the whole of Kew became ULEZ, the GLA advises that 77,000 older, more polluting vehicles have been removed from the road, which means 95% of vehicles driving in outer London passing a camera were compliant, as against 85% in May 2022. So that's a year and a half's difference. And the impact we really won't know until at least another year. And to be honest, I think it's going to be really difficult to work out what is due to the ULEZ and what would have been a general upgrade of the fleet. The ULEZ has definitely speeded things up and encouraged it. I think it's definitely brought it forward a bit. So this is Q data, this is Q. It shows last year's data, so 2022, the last full year of data we've got. Everywhere complies. Fantastic. First year we've had the whole of Q comply. That includes Chalkers Corner, which is actually down. I think that's probably a bit more Mortlake-ish than Q, but at any rate, that was 39. 40, remember, is the limit value. Places like Q Road, Walpole Avenue is down to 21. That's really, really fantastic reductions. And I graphed this, or rather Roger did, and he gave it to me. This is 5 years worth of data. So you can see that the reds were 2015, everything exceeded in 2015, and the black is 2022, and everything's complying. Wow. Excellent news. But we still need to go further. And this just gives you a really broad look. This is from when I've started monitoring, or actually I started monitoring before, but this is from 2002 to 2022, so 20 years. 2003 was the very hot heat wave, I don't know whether you remember. But basically, air quality goes up and down. It's not a constant downward curve. It goes up and down, but if you look from 2017, that's where it crosses the line. I'm not sure if that, you can't really see that dot. Where they cross the red line is around 2017. Dieselgate was 2017, 2016, 2017. So from the time the motor manufacturers were forced to clean up their act, and we then brought in real-world testing, rather than testing in a lab or testing on a MOT station, the emissions have really dropped. So I think we have to be grateful, we in the air quality community, for Dieselgate. It did us a lot of good. This is to give you some modelled data. That was all monitoring. That's all the council's own monitoring data. The GLA produced what's called the LAEI, the London Atmospheric Emissions Inventory. Fantastic tool for model data. It's a very complex, very wide-ranging modelling model. You can see that's the whole of London. So the centre is exceeding. You can see the 40 is the bright plummy colour. Let's take us into Richmond. So Q is at the top there. Q, the roads are exceeding, but most of the residential area is okay. And I've taken this in. This is the same modelling, but taken for 2025. So we've moved forward a little. And you can see again, most of the area actually where residents live is compliant. The roads are still a bit of a problem, but NO2 drops off quickly with distance from source. I should have mentioned that. So even if you're on Kew Road or Mortlake Road, 10 metres, 15, 20, 50 metres back, you will get significant reductions in NO2. If you've got hedges and greenery and things like that, so much the better. This is the same for 2.5, so generally that's London centre and the roads are what exceeds, and this again is 2.5s forward to 2025 for Q, similar picture. This is a breakdown of the actual source where the emissions are coming from, so more than half, about 50, this is Richmond Town Centre. Now this is an air quality focus area, we get the breakdowns for the air quality focus areas. Nearest is Richmond, so about 56, 57% is road transport, 22, 25 will be heating and cooling of buildings, 20%-ish is background, and other transport is about 3.4. If you now look at the 56% of road transport, this is Site 20, this is just up the road here, just up from Besant. It's on Mortlake Road. It's near Queen's School, now called King's School, opposite Kent Road. This is to this year's data with the traffic data from the LAEI. This shows what happens from the emissions from all the vehicles on the road going at 5 kilometres. So this is crawling, this is idling really, hardly moving. And you can see diesel cars there are about 32%. And the HGVs, if you add up the Arctic and the rigid, you've got about 29, and if you add in the LGVs, the light good vehicles, you'll get about half is from the light goods and the heavy goods, and about 32 from diesels, 4+ from petrol. If you speed the vehicles up to 34, which is about 21 miles an hour, the HGVs perform better. The HGVs are really built for motorway driving. They're built for travelling. They don't like to be stationary. But it does mean the diesels are relatively more polluting. So the diesels here going at 21 miles an hour, which is what happens a lot of this borough, is now 55.6%. This is why you hear people like me going on about diesel cars. There's no getting away from it. The petrol have gone up to 9.4 and even the hybrids, but the diesel is a very big issue. And this is the same site, same speed, same everything, except we've taken it back to 2019, when you can see that the HGVs have improved more effectively than the diesel cars, so they are proportionally more. The diesel cars are 48 instead of 55. Right, so what are we doing about it? What's the council doing about it? I must race. We're doing lots of things. We're monitoring, we have an action plan, we have NRMM. I'll go through in a little more detail. Monitoring is really, really important. We care tremendously about our data. We get as good QA/QC procedures. We've got 2 automatic real-time sensors. We've got around 100 diffusion tubes out there, 120. Doing schools, permanent sites. We've got Breathe London, real-time sensors. Your nearest is at the end of Kew Road, just before the green. You can click on it any time, go to Breathe London, you can get the data. This is the data I downloaded for you from last week from that sensor. So this shows you what air quality does. That's a normal graph. You'll see the diurnal variation, the up and downs, peaks and troughs of a day. You would expect it to go way over 40. You expect it to come way down below 40. And this is the same for PM2.5s. This is our spread of diffusion tubes, so pretty good coverage for the borough. They're the permanent sites. This is the data for last year. The red line is 40. So we only had 3 sites that exceeded. That was on both 2 in Richmond and 1 in East Sheen. And the rest all complied. And just for a quick comparison, this is back to 2019, pre-COVID, when all of this lot were at exceedance or above, half the borough roughly, and the rest were below, but only just below. So you can see that's just 2019. We feared after lockdown, after COVID, that they would all go back up again. The traffic has, but the emissions, the vehicle fleet has improved. So we have an action plan, 2020-25, doing lots of things. It's all on our website, concentrating a lot on schools because young lungs are more vulnerable. We work with public health. We work a lot on idling. We've spoken to now over 50,500 interventions by our traffic wardens. They were out every day speaking to motorists, getting them to switch off. They do, otherwise they'd be issued with a fine. We don't get much fine money. We have project works, we have clean air days. We're doing a lot with this year with a London wood burning project. Electric plug-ins, we're installing electric ECVPs. There's 925, or will be by the end of the financial year. We're encouraging travel plans and modal shift onto active travel. We're promoting AirTex, which is an early warning system for air quality. Sign up if you're interested, or if you're asthmatic, it'll give you a text to say that pollution is going to be poor the next day. We're leading on the NRMM, which is the construction emissions, so that's really come down quite significantly. We're raising awareness, encouraging working from home. We've just launched our London wood burning, so there may be people in the audience who've got wood burners. We're really pleading with you to try and keep them for special occasions, because that's 1 wood burner equal to 18. This is the cleanest, 3.1 grams an hour, and a lot of people will have them that are much higher emissions than that. That 1 hour is equivalent to 18 diesel engines or 6 HGVs. The problem is you often have a wood fire on for much more than an hour, whereas you drive for much less each day. What can you do? You can do all sorts of things. Try and walk, try and think before you grab the car keys. I think that's the main message. Walk, cycle, use public transport, combine journeys, Use lockers, try and combine deliveries, use locker points, hubs. Try not to burn bonfires or wood burners. PMs go up quite a lot in the wintertime in this borough, and it's a lot due to wood burners and people burning indoors. Look at your insulation, reuse, recycle, use back roads to reduce your own exposure. That will reduce your exposure significantly if you just walk on a parallel road, one back. Sign our pledge. This is the one that's just launched this November, so we're trying to encourage people to think before they light up their fire. And these are useful contacts, and thank you very much. I'm Carol.